Hello, Facebook. It's been a long time since you've actually done a live stream for Black People in Cryptocurrency, which is the group that we have on Facebook. So we have an interview planned today. I'm starting the stream on my wall, but I'm going to share it to the group and to the page in a second. As usual, starting a little bit early. Live stream starts at 11 a.m. and it's an interview with Esco Obong, who is an app creator for ERC token monitoring app. So we're going to get to him in a few minutes, but I wanted to do a little housekeeping for the group. We are now, I'll give you an accurate number as soon as I share it to the group. Hold on one second. My computer is in the background. Hold on one second. So again, we do have a live stream interview planned today at 11 o'clock, so it's about 5 minutes. It's with Esco Obong, who's app creator for an ERC token monitoring app. But as always, I start a little bit early to kind of get people to get into the group and to do a little housekeeping. We haven't actually had a live stream in quite a while. At least I haven't done one. Many thanks to Eduardo Jackson and fellow Black People in Cryptocurrency group members who actually did a live stream on bots not too long ago. And of course, my co-admin, Bob Ponce, who also did a live stream with the Rollcoin CEO, Clarence Wooten. Thank goodness they were able to take the wheel on a lot of things and bring a diverse set of voices to the cryptocurrency space in terms of what Black people are doing and what they need to do. Hey, Alan, how are you? Long time no see. It's good to see some childhood friends have tuned in to this. I just shared it to Black people in cryptocurrency and just to address the group in general. We have not had a kind of like a conversation in a while. Let me check the group member numbers. It's 10,603 members as we're speaking right now. Really great vibe. Those of you who are new, please read the pin post. I mean, that's the best way not to get your comment or your post deleted from the group. We don't want them deleted. We have kind of strict rules on advertising. Sorry, that's my clock going on in the background. It's just telling me it's 11 o'clock. But we have pretty much finite set of rules about referral links and advertising and what you can and cannot do. Because initially the main group, Black People in Cryptocurrency, the purpose was for it to be informational, get people dialoguing about what's going on in the space, talking about any of the controversies that are going on out there, etc. And then we have the spin-off groups, BPC Business, which every once in a while there's a post in the main group, but really we segregate any type of projects we're trying to bring to people, any type of opportunities if they want to participate or not. The other thing is you should be able to see the BPC Teach group that's also in the pin post, and that group was really to generate some offline learning discussions that we can bring to our various communities. Let's go. Send me a message. Let me give a response. One second. One second. Basically what I'm typing, and I know there's like a 15-second delay, so you probably get the text message first, but on your phone you should see green and white icon. If you hit that, then I know that you can be joined to the group. Because I can see that you're watching, but you actually have to access with your phone. And with your phone, you should be able to see the green and white icon. Oh, I see you. Okay. There you go. Hey, how are you?
Hey, it's going good.
See, that was kind of seamless, right?
Yeah,
Now, am I pronouncing your name correctly, Esco Obong?
yeah, that's correct.
All right, good, good, good. Well, welcome to Black People in Cryptocurrency, and I'm also very, very grateful that you reached out to me because it
No
was so
problem.
long from the time that I was like, yeah, yeah, touch base with me later. I couldn't even dig through the amount of messages to find you. So I was like, well, eventually some people will get back to me who have reached out to me before. Um, but we kind of hit a busy period that we weren't actually doing a lot of live streams. So I'm glad you contacted us again so we can actually talk about you and talk about what's going on in the space in general. So can you give us some background information on yourself? What is your path to becoming a senior software engineer that led you to work for Uber, Forbes, New York Times? How did that path occur?
Cool. Yeah, so I started out, it was just a hobby. I was 14 years old. I wanted to make animations using Flash, and I found out how you can use ActionScript to animate a ball. And then from that point on, I was just fascinated by programming, and I just went straight into that path. Just every day, every night, coding games, little puzzles in Flash. And then I took a C++ course in high school, which is like this College Now program. Got an A in that course, so like that was really motivating. And afterwards, there was like a Java course in my senior year of high school. And then afterwards in college, I went to Polytech. Now it's called NYU Tandon. I
Okay.
went there for my bachelor's, but I dropped out in my second year because I already had a good job. I was working long hours, going to school at the same time, and also accruing a lot of debt. It didn't really make sense. So I had a lot of experience, like just from my hobby, and I think that's really what gave me the upper edge because a lot of my friends who stayed in school and graduated, they had a hard time finding jobs like for a year or two, right when they got out. So
So
it's like
how did
because they didn't have the
you
experience.
how did you find your way to the because it's not like you start at Forbes or you start at New York Times or you start at Uber. So how did that come about? And you kind of you're saying you dropped out. You didn't have a degree. Was it more challenging for you? I mean, how did that happen?
Right. So yeah, most of my time was just working on side projects, and that's where my experience came from, and that's what I was able to show. So before I had went to New York Times, I was working on a startup called AppSpitter. Basically, it was an online marketplace where you can sell licenses for source code, or you can actually bid on the license for source code, or you can buy apps on there. And one of the issues we had was payments, because apps are really cheap, like 99 cents, sometimes even cheaper, and the transaction fees are just too much. So that's how we found Bitcoin, because Bitcoin at the time it was basically no transaction fee.
Right.
It was so cheap. But the problem was that not many people were using it at the time, so we kind of abandoned it. But that's when I first got into from there to Bitcoin or blockchain in general.
Well, before we get into your first experience with cryptocurrency, in your opinion, you think even today, if someone's starting out today, do you think actually doing the work is more critical than like kind of following the traditional path? What's expected that people go for their bachelor's degree and that sort of process? I mean, what is your take on that? Like just looking
Yeah,
today, not the past.
today it's even more of a reason to not do the traditional route because there's so many more resources online. Like I definitely learned a lot in school. What I learned in school was to focus on data structures and algorithms. Before I went to college, I didn't really have a good grasp on that, or even just know that was something I should focus on. So that really gave me that mindset, and afterwards, I was able to go and continue and learn on my own, just how I've been doing before with regular applications. So I think having that, just knowing that, just a fundamental knowledge like that, data structures and algorithms is all you need. You don't need a full 4-year degree where you do other programs, other classes that kind of take away time if you really know what you want to do. Like during those 2 years, I could have done a lot more towards web development, towards programming if I had like a good structure. I didn't really need all the other stuff that came with it.
So, where are some sites and things that you're studying now? I mean, where do you go for furthering education? Is it with the companies that you work for, or you still go to some of the original resources?
So there's no like I don't have one list. I usually just start a project and then learn on the way how to do each step on the way there. And that requires Googling a lot. I think Google is the only resource I really suggest because once you go from there, you find out things from over the place. But if you're trying to learn a new language, for example, and it's not really project based, then I do things like Udemy or Udacity.
Do you usually work with a team, or do you just do work by yourself?
So I was working by myself for a while up until 2015. Then I started doing projects with a friend of mine. consistently. And then in 2016, I was taking a trip to Nigeria, and I found out one of my drivers was a software engineer. And I was like, oh wow, really? So I was looking for other software engineers to talk with, and that really started my search out there. And I found two good software engineers, and I hired them part time to do some contracts for me that I outsourced.
Okay, so
And then ever since, yep.
what was your first experience with cryptocurrency?
Oh, first experience was in 2013. Wait, was it 2013? It's like 2011 actually, when I was in college, and I was working on the startup app spitter. We were researching different payment methods, and Bitcoin came across as a way to send money cheaply from one place to another. But the problem was adoption, so we didn't look too deep into it at that point. But that was the first time I got introduced to it.
So what was App Spinner?
So AppSplitter was a third-party marketplace for apps. So this is before all the app stores had websites. This was like
Hmm.
back in 2009 when we started working on this. So it was basically a web portal to bid on licensed software for apps and also buy apps too.
Okay, so tell us about how Tokens Express came about. What is it? And where is it now in terms of development, and where do you see it heading in the future?
Cool, yeah. So I made Token Express. I started working on it because I needed to park myself. I have many different exchange accounts. I have many different wallets, and the whole goal of Tokens Express is to take all of your accounts and put them in one place in one dashboard. So I was able to start on that for about 2 weeks on myself, and then I started to transition my employees. Because I mentioned I had hired two people back in December 2015. Since then, I have four full-time engineers, one designer, and on 1 p.m. So I started to transition them off of other projects to then put more and more effort behind this app. And I started working on it in September as an experiment, and then by November we had released the first version.
Okay, so this is brand new.
Yeah.
Okay, so where can people find the app? What platforms is it available for? Um, Give us a little background on that.
So yeah, so right now it's on Android. So if you go to the Android Play Store and you search for tokens, it'll show up there as the first result. So far we have a good amount of users on it, and we're going to release iOS pretty soon, hopefully this week, if not next week.
Okay, so what is your feeling? A lot in the news recently, last couple of weeks, a lot of bans on social media platforms in terms of anything related to cryptocurrency, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat. Twitter is trying to figure out what they're going to do. How are you reaching your market, and what is your feeling on all these bans of cryptocurrency related companies and products?
Yeah, there's a lot of bad news going on in the crypto space. Like I was speaking to my brother about it, my younger brother, who doesn't know much about it, and he was just seeing headlines after headline about it's getting banned, authorities are searching for people, all this bad news behind it. But it's really because there's a lot of bad actors who are
Mm.
making a lot of noise. So like people who are going on and promising returns on investments or even promoting scam ICOs, they're the reason why these social media platforms are blocking the ads. It's not because cryptocurrency is bad or anything like that. It's because there are scams going on and they don't have enough resources to monitor everything and make sure that they're compliant with securities laws. So I think because of that, we're going to go through a period of regulation, and that's going to scare a lot of people. So that's why the market's down. But I don't see any other reason besides fear of regulation, fear of bans for why the market's going down. Nothing else changed besides that. And every time there's positive news in terms of regulation, things go right back up.
Mm. So, what do you think is the solution for kind of remedying this rift between current social media platforms and the cryptocurrency development community? Is there any noise behind the scenes of people organizing and meeting with different corporate executives to kind of explain what's going on, or create some type of metric or something like that that they can determine, what should fly, what shouldn't?
So it's interesting you mentioned that. So we had built the app as a portfolio tracker and manager, and part of that was getting all the data for which tokens you have and all the information about them. So getting that data became harder and harder over time as more and more ICOs kept coming out. So we decided to shift the focus of it to be a data collection platform. So now instead of you being able to scan your address and load your tokens, now you can enter in like kind of like Wikipedia. You can enter in the content. So at that point, it kind of transformed. Okay, maybe you can chat with each other, share information about different concepts, stuff like that, and then it landed on being a platform to talk about cryptocurrencies, learn about it. So that's what we're working on right now with Token Express. So we're actually going to have an ICO for it. We'll have a white paper. I can send you the white paper right after this. But
Okay.
basically, Yeah, so basically, it's kind of like a social network. It's not exactly a social network where you post about your life or anything like that, but you do make posts about cryptocurrencies. You can look up things through the database. You can add more content, and you get cryptocurrency in exchange for adding content. And that's our token called TKE. It's an ERC20 token, and you can also get cryptocurrency for moderating things, and also for reviewing advertisements too.
Okay, so how are you distinguishing your token? I mean, are you concerned about it being viewed as a security and the ramifications for that? Or, I mean, how have you prepared this token to be more of like a utility token?
Yeah, we've talked a lot about that. So after the release, I brought in a co-founder, Alex Surjenko. I used to work with him on a different startup when I left New York Times, and also my brother. He's helping us with the regulatory issues. So basically, the SEC will consider they most likely will consider all tokens security, even though I don't believe all tokens are securities. But because of that, we have to make sure we cover ourselves. So we are treating it like a security, even though we don't believe it is, which means that we're going to go ahead and do the regulation crowdfunding or Reg D. We haven't really decided yet. Those are two different classifications for selling securities. We're going to register it, but we're not saying it's a utility. In the event that the SEC does deem it to be a security, we're going to be covered, so it doesn't matter.
Okay, okay. So, how are people going to be able to? You're going to be ERC token. How are people going to be able to? They go to your Tokens Express website, which is right, which is tokens.express, right?
Right.
Okay, so that's where they should be able to go to find information. And what's the timeline on that again?
So we're gonna announce the ICO about next week. To start the bounty program. Are you familiar with bounty programs?
Yeah, I am familiar with bounty programs only because we had a live stream with Sarita Hines, who's basically CEO of Trust a Bit, and she kind of explained all that, finding how you found bounties and people to do all that stuff. So yeah, it was new to
Nice.
me about a month and a half ago. I was like, "What? What are you talking?"
So that's another way that people can get the word out during this whole crypto ban of advertisements is bounty programs,
Right.
because they're out there with their accounts, they're posting on social media, and that's where you'll be paying to show anyway. So it's pretty similar.
Oh my God. So everyone who's watching, I just want to interrupt briefly. If you're watching and you have a direct question for Esco about his app and the upcoming ICO, please shoot it because I am looking as scrolling as a lot of people watching, but they're not really commenting. I'm gonna just check my question list really quickly. Um, okay, I'm sitting here in the dark and I'm like, I can't even see what I wrote. Let's see. I see some comments, some people saying great info and wow. Oh, I think I pretty much asked this question already, but we can ask it, kind of in a different way. What do you think, in terms of some of the top cryptocurrencies out there? I mean, do you really think that Bitcoin has some staying power in the long run? Are people making some serious projections about, oh, end of the year is going to be 40,000, we're 40,000 for one, or is Bitcoin kind of like the I don't know, MS-DOS of cryptocurrency? So what is your feelings about in terms of long-term solution on who's going to have staying power and are niche coins going to be the cryptocurrency of the future? So just kind of a general market question.
Gotcha. Well, I gotta say that with Bitcoin, the investment strategy for me is kind of irrational nowadays because the technology is inferior to a lot of things out there. But people are treating it like gold. So like you're valuing it for a reason because you like it. It's not because it's superior technology, not because it's more likely to be around in a few years. It's because I'm not sure exactly why people are calling it a store of value, like the new digital gold, and that's not really rational. So it's hard to predict. But that reasoning is there. I have Bitcoin myself. I'm holding on to it. So I do believe in it. I'm going to stick with it, and also I'm going to invest in other different altcoins too.
So what are some things that you actually like?
So one of my favorite altcoins is called Tyrion, TNT. Basically, it's a platform where you can hash data for other companies. So the good thing about it is this company called Tyrion, they partnered with Microsoft, and they had a lot of clients that are already using their own platform in a centralized manner, and now they're decentralizing it. So they already have a business use case for it, and the token makes a lot of sense. It's actually you need a token for this type of you need it for this type of program, and it's so much more superior than their old platform because their clients don't need to trust that they're not going to look at their files like you do with Dropbox or with Google Drive.
Mm.
So I think that's really cool.
Wow. So we do have some questions filtered in. Tracy's asking, how many tokens will be offered in the ICO?
So we have, so we're still working on the figures. But right now we have a total supply of 500 million, and we're
Oh,
going to
what was that?
offer,
500? What was?
yeah, 500 million tokens is the total supply. And then we're going to offer during the ICO combined 30%, and then there's 2% going to the bounty, and then there's a reserve of 50% because we need to be able to have people on the platform who do actions to earn the token. So like you'll have a chance to earn the token by submitting content and building up the platform. So we want to make sure that at least half of the tokens are available to be owned by the community so that they have more of a voice than people who were able to buy in earlier on.
So James is asking, is Esco app strictly for Ethereum tokens, or would you monitor other tokens? I kind of added to your question, James, but
So yeah, like originally, we only wanted it to be Ethereum. You can see on Reddit, we're just saying, oh no, this is going to be Ethereum. We're focused on that. We wanted to make sure we had the best experience for it. But then as we got into the feature where you can pull in your balances from different exchanges, we have all this data from all these other cryptocurrencies that we would be hiding it. There's more work to hide it than it is to just have it there. And I see the utility in being able to see your entire portfolio across all of your different coins and blockchains. So we decided to actually introduce different tokens. So we're building the Ethereum wallet for the app right now, and we have plans to build the Bitcoin and Neo wallets into it too. So it's going to be a multi-asset wallet.
so is it being built on an Ethereum blockchain or another one? This is Daniel's question.
So right now it's being built on the Ethereum blockchain, but that's subject to change over time. Right now we're doing a combination of Ethereum and IPFS, but there are a lot of other good projects like Lottie.js out there that's promising but just not stable enough that we might transition to if they do become good enough because they are way more ideal than this combination that we have right now.
Oh my goodness. So you mentioned you found an engineer in Nigeria. I mean, what's your take on the space in terms of finding Black people, people of color in this space? Has it been easy for you, difficult for you? You work with, I know when I talked to Sarita, she was saying that she works with a lot of people. I think it was from Ukraine and other places. There's a real diverse group. I mean, what are your feelings on it? Because a lot of times people will automatically assume that, Black people or Latino people are automatically in a minority and you can't find anybody with certain XYZ skill sets. So how has that been your experience?
So yeah, for me, it's been go to the places where they congregate, so like meetups, forums, because the percentage is very small. Like just with regular software engineering, most of the top tech companies have from 1 to 2% of the employees are Black engineers. So now, if you talk about crypto, that's even more. Like most of the people don't know about crypto in the first place. So like that number is even smaller. So it's more about going to the communities that exist right now. It's not as easy to find outside of that.
So is your product been receptive? I don't know if you made any announcements or didn't you even need to make any announcements on Reddit or anywhere else. Bitcoin Talk. I mean, how are you being received by what you consider, I guess, the standard forms for cryptocurrency and that kind of dialogue?
So we've wait, was that about the app or sorry? Can you repeat the last part of the question?
Really about the app. I really didn't do as much research as I normally do because I didn't have much time. But usually I kind of look to see who's talking about your app and who's not talking about
Oh,
your
okay.
app. So in terms of if you're actively involved in Reddit or Bitcoin Talk, I mean, how's been the reception? Because we know it's a real libertarian environment, but for the most part, they either rip your thing apart or they're like, okay.
We got really warm reception. So if you look at the app on the Play Store, most of our feedback comes from those comments, and
Right.
there's a lot of people saying that this is the best best in this category. This is a daily opener, things like that, and that's because a lot of the wallets out there aren't as good. So we really focus on the mobile experience. So I think that's why we got some good reception because of the design of it and the functionality is pretty smooth. Online, we just made a few posts to announce the launch of the app, but we're going to make more posts once we launch the bounty program. We're going to launch it on on Bitcoin Talk.
Oh, Bitcoin Talk. Okay. And no Reddit.
We have a subreddit, but we're going to focus on Bitcoin Talk at first, and then spread over to subreddit, Telegram, and other places.
Yeah, Tracy, he already mentioned that it's going to be at least a week before there's more information on the ICO and it will be on the website. Did
Yep.
anybody else have any additional questions? Yeah, I'm just looking. So this must be one of your friends. So what up? LOL. Stan. That's from Stan. um,
What's up, Stan?
and then
I went to high school with him.
oh, okay, yeah, yeah. I got some people on here that I've known since I was like 5. So uh, in terms of anything else that your team is working on, give us some insight or some heads up of developments you think may be needed in the future, but we're just not ready yet because we don't have the numbers in terms of sustaining it. I'm trying to pick your brain for some future stuff that we should be looking out for.
Gotcha. Yeah, definitely. So it's all going to be focused around Tokens Express. We dropped all of our other projects. We have wrapped some things up. We didn't continue them, so we can transition everybody onto this project. Right now we're focusing on launching the ICO and also continuing developing the roadmap. Basically making that a full platform we can go and you can learn about cryptocurrencies. You can chat about it securely, and then you can submit more content to earn tokens.
And what James is asking, what programming language did you recommend people learn?
So there's two different ones. So I would suggest either Python or JavaScript. JavaScript is very ubiquitous. You can make a mobile application with it, a website, a desktop app, and it's pretty easy to get started with. And then Python is also pretty easy to get started with too, but it has more applications in data science and machine learning and other like back-end focuses. So like, those are the two I think easier languages to start out with, depending on your interest.
So how can people get in touch with you? They have, they want to work with you. You have any openings? They want to network with you. Um,
Oh yeah, definitely. Like, reach out to me on LinkedIn or send me an email at esco@tokens.express.
okay. So I want to give people a few more seconds if they have any last minute questions. I know there's like a 15-second delay, but while we're waiting, I do want to thank you for definitely reaching back out to me. I think people are going to get a lot of value from this conversation in terms of doing their own thing and definitely putting this Android app on their phone so they can monitor the ERC tokens and follow what's going on. Because we're in some tenuous times right now. A little bit of a
Yeah.
pullback on all fronts, but things are not going to say the same. So Daniel is asking, any thoughts on Lisk?
I have heard about it, but I haven't looked into it. Uh, Pretty much ever since we released the app in November, I haven't been researching any new any new projects. It's been like the heads down development mode. Before that, I was like all investing, researching, but nowadays you're just like looking at other influencers, seeing their moves, and then continuing on with my project.
What are your thoughts? I haven't followed it as closely, but I think there's another at least two other platforms in terms of developing blockchain solutions. So what are your thoughts on Stellar or Komodo?
So Stellar, I like Stellar. Stellar's pretty good. They say it's kind of like a competitor to Ripple, but it's not. That's one application of it. It's another blockchain for creating other tokens too, just like Ethereum. We're planning to support that in a while too, later down the road.
Okay. And about Komodo?
I haven't heard of Komodo.
Okay, yeah, I think that's some new one, kind of like out of Asia or something like that. Um, so again, thank you for this opportunity. It was really short, but definitely packed with information. We're definitely going to be following Tokens Express, which is an app on Android's Play Store, so that people can look into it. Website is tokens.express, right? HTTP colon
Yep.
socials.express, very straightforward. The name of the product and the name of the website are exactly the same. But definitely keep in touch. Definitely post to our group to kind of figure out, timelines, what's going on, especially about the ICO. And, best of luck to you.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Take care.